I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the Government Center in Winston-Salem in our studio on the third floor. In case you happen to be on the third floor right now, but don't come in because we're talking. We're with, of course, the county manager who's been with us before, but you've seen her on the show many times before when she was in her capacity assisting Dudley Watts, who was here previously. But we're so glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
When you started as county manager, you emphasized transparency, you talked about the need for communication, and now I understand you've started a newsletter. Now, why was that needed, and how is it going?
Yeah, so for me, I really want to make sure we are doing all that we can to communicate to our residents. And so we're trying a lot of different methods, and a newsletter was something we did not have. And so it's another avenue to share information with the community, and it's published on a monthly basis by our communications team. And so far, so good. I would certainly love to see subscriptions and views to be a little bit higher, but it's also something new. So hopefully we'll get more people to look at it at forsyth.cc as it continues to improve.
I think you told me a long time ago when we were talking that there are certain factors that affect the budget more than others, and sometimes a particular factor can really skew a budget, really impact the budget. Is there any one thing that might be a factor that could impact the 25-26 budget?
I think this year one of the major factors will be a lot of the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we've received from the federal government and state government is coming to an end. And so we are going to need to find other revenue sources to replace that funding. And then I think that there's also some inflationary factors that impact us, especially, as a county government, we have to purchase things just like everyone else. And so those are things that we have to take into consideration.
I hate these comparison things, but since I mentioned Dudley Watts before, who was your predecessor, and I know both of you very good friends, has your approach been any different to coming up with the budget, working with the budget, than how he did it, or did you learn from what he did, good and bad, or how is that?
I learned a lot from Dudley, and in general, we're very aligned with kind of our budgetary practices and want to make sure that we're good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I think for me, being a new manager, I've started the process a little bit earlier this year to make sure to give ourselves and the team enough time to really prepare it. And then I also have more sessions, budget workshops with the commissioners, just to do different pieces of the budget as opposed to compressing it kind of all at one time. So in general, it's very, very similar, just a few different kind of processes.
Right. I think people might be interested to know, we didn't rehearse this or anything, but do you and your team usually say, okay, here's what we think is the best way to go for the budget, and then the commissioners, take a look at it? Or do you, as you said, do you kind of meet with some of them and say, this commissioner thinks that an investment in this park or recreation would be good. This commissioner thinks we need this. What's the process?
Yeah, great question. So we'll have kind of a winter work session with them to try to get to where their goals and priorities are. And so as the manager, I want to know what their goals and priorities so that the budget can align with that. But in general, on the management side, as the county manager, I will make a recommended budget and present a recommended budget to them. And then ultimately it's up to them to approve or deny that budget.
When are you going to do that?
I plan to do that towards the end of May.
End of May. Now, I understand, speaking of the commissioners, I understand they made some changes in their meeting schedule. What's that about?
They did, and so, they had historically met every single Thursday, so it was either a briefing or a meeting, and so starting next week, they will hold briefings on Mondays, a meeting on Thursday, and they will do that essentially every other week or twice a month. There's some anomalies there. And then they've also added one evening session at 6 o'clock on a quarterly basis. And that was in response to some community members wanting us to be more available for those who
People
work.
who couldn't get there for the daytime.
Absolutely.
We only have a couple seconds left. 6 months into the job, county manager, any notable thing come to you that's been special or memorable that's happened or that you've dealt with?
Well, for me, I've taken a lot of time to do listening tours, so going out into the community as well as listening to employees. And then I would say the biggest impact or notable moment was our team's response to Hurricane Helene. We had over 100 staff that went out to support our Western Carolina partners, and that was a huge undertaking and greatly appreciated the team that went as well as as a team that was left behind to pick up the slack.
Absolutely. Well, you're doing a great job. We appreciate that all that you're doing for the county, and I hope you won't be a stranger to the show.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Chantel. We'll be right back after this.
You don't have time to attend every government meeting in Forsyth County. Subscribe to the Forsyth County newsletter. Available the first day of the month, the Forsyth County News arrives in email with articles, videos, and links to information and programs that matter to you. See updates from county commissioners, hear from the county manager, see quick videos of programs and activities, plus a look ahead. Stay up to date. Elections, tax office, air quality, parks, deeds, and more. Forsyth.cc/newsletter. Subscribe today.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and this gentleman has been on the show before. We're so glad he could come back. And it's sort of a seasonal topic, and it's something that's important, and that's tax assessing, the reevaluation of property, and that kind of thing. We're with John Burgess, of course, tax assessor and collector for Forsyth County. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
At the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken, you held some meetings where people could come in and you tell them about the reappraisal process. Now, what for those who didn't attend those or couldn't attend those, what kind of things in general did you cover?
Sure. Well, first I want to thank the folks that took the opportunity to come out and meet with us.
Right.
I really appreciated that. We had some good dialogue, and I believe they found the sessions beneficial. But one of the primary things that we covered was why we do a reappraisal. And that's reappraising the real estate portion of the county. So maybe you want me to expand on that a
Go
little
ahead,
bit?
yeah.
Okay. And so there's really two reasons. One is the state of North Carolina requires all counties to conduct countywide reappraisals at least once every 8 years. Forsyth County has been on an advanced cycle conducting reappraisals every 4 years since about the mid-1980s.
Okay.
So one reason is statutory. The main
Folks
reason...
at home, that means he has to do it, so don't yell at him if there's a reappraisal.
That's correct. The real reason for doing reappraisal is in property tax, fairness is achieved when everyone is paying their fair share of meeting the needs of that tax jurisdiction. And in North Carolina, there's 4 types of property that are taxed. One is personal property, that's like your canoes and business equipment. Another is your registered motor vehicles, cars we drive every day. The third type is public service. Those are things like major utilities, railroads, things like that. And the fourth one is real estate. Well, those first 3, personal property, registered motor vehicles, and public service, they're valued every year at 100% of fair market value.
Okay.
Real estate is only valued each time we have a reappraisal.
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years
Because
in Forsyth.
Right. If I have a car, the car's worth $30,000, it's going to be appraised for what it's worth. But the other thing is every 4 years.
That's right. So the last time Forsyth County had a reappraisal was in January of 2021. We established real estate values then. So you can imagine in 2024, if someone bought a piece of real estate, let's say they paid $100,000 for that piece of real estate. That was the current market value, it was $100,000. Then, at that moment. However, what they're being taxed on for the 24 year was set back in 2021. The tax bill may have been based on $65,000.
Are you saying that we may not have, I know this is not going to be a popular thing to say, but we may not have been paying our fair share over the past 3 years?
On real estate.
On real
That
estate.
is correct. And so the whole purpose of a reappraisal is to bring the real estate values that the county tax office is using to tax into alignment with the current real estate market. And therefore, in the year of the reappraisal, no matter what type property you own that's taxable, you're going to pay your fair share for that tax jurisdiction. That's the whole purpose of a reappraisal.
Now, what are the reappraisal values based on?
Well, that's a good question. So they're based on the real estate market, and that's defined by sales. So buyers and sellers in our market every day are buying and selling real estate, and that information is recorded in the Register of Deeds office.
Right.
We utilize those transactions to understand what the real estate market is. Since January of 21, there's been over 30,000 sales that we would use in our analysis to understand the local real estate market. So buyers and sellers determine the market. We as appraisers just come along to understand what buyers and sellers did do.
Right.
What did they pay for a property and what did they receive for that money?
Right.
That's what we're analyzing. We take that information that we learn from those sales and we also apply that to all the other unsold property in
Right.
the county. So that way we have equity and
So if I have a $200,000 house, but for some reason the valuation or the market has devalued it a little bit, I might end up paying a little bit less taxes.
That's right.
Okay.
Regardless of where the market goes, it's our job to follow that market.
Follow the market.
That's right.
All right, very quickly, we're almost out of time. Is there a website or something people can go to learn more about this?
There is. Forsyth has the county website, and tax administration's a part of that. There's also, we love to talk to people too. You can come visit us at 201 North Chestnut Street in the
Okay.
tax office, and then also on the phone, 336-703-2300 is our phone number.
All right. John, we could do an hour on this whole thing just to understand this, but folks, please go to the website, give them a call, give John a call, set up an appointment if you need to, but a lot of good information. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
This is Forsyth. Property fraud is real. Protect your property today. Sign up for the Forsyth County Register of Deeds Property Fraud Alert. Be notified by email if someone tries to use your name or address on documents filed with the Register of Deeds. Following an alert, you can contact your lending institution and police to file a report. No Register of Deeds office has the authority to remove any document. Use our free property fraud alert at forsyth.cc/ROD.
Back now for Forsyth County Connections, and we have a guest with us who's been with us many times before, and I'm so glad she's here on this particular day because there's some important information that we want to let you know about, and it's very serious. And it's talking about alcohol abuse, and Annie Vasquez is here, substance use health educator for Forsyth County Behavioral Health Services. Welcome back.
Thanks for inviting me.
And I know you're a little under the weather today, so I appreciate you coming in. How prevalent are alcohol overdoses in Forsyth County, or do you have a handle on that?
Yeah, so we can tell through our data points how, it gives us information about each person that's overdosed and then what substance is involved in that. And what we're seeing is just almost every call has alcohol listed in there somewhere. It may not be the prevalent one, the one that they had to call 911 for,
But it's in the mix.
but it's in the mix.
Why do you think that is?
I think people have it's become so normalized and so everybody does it.
Socially and otherwise, and then all of a sudden you're into it. What is very sad, is there a certain demographic that's more prone to alcohol overdose than another? A young, old, black, white, man, woman?
It doesn't matter. It's all over the spectrum. And I think when people think about alcoholics, they have in this mind someone on the street who may have a paper bag and they're old, but that's not what an alcoholic looks like. An alcoholic can look just like me or you. They function, they go to work, they can pay their bills. Right,
but what are some of the signs? Now, you're a professional and you know how to pick up on the signs, but what are some of them?
Yeah, so it's always, maybe they're hiding things. Maybe they're drinking large amounts of coffee. Like I just heard someone talk about a story where they thought just their friend really liked coffee, and come to find out they were doing benders all night. And so they had to drink coffee all day to try to stay up and really continue to do their work. So disappearing at certain amount of times, going through money too quickly, sometimes can be like, oh, how did you spend your whole paycheck in one weekend?
Oh, man.
Those kinds of issues. But they can appear normal, and they may not even perceive them as a problem.
I'm glad you mentioned that when you said they can appear normal. You used a term in an email that you sent to me, and it was functional alcoholic.
Yeah.
What does that mean when someone is a functional alcoholic?
Yeah, so a functional alcoholic is just that. It's someone who functions on the day-to-day levels. Maybe they go to work, maybe they run a company, maybe they own their own business. They seem to just take care of all of their business. But at the end of the day, or maybe even throughout the day, they got to make sure they have that little bit of vodka, or maybe it's white wine.
To get them through it.
To get them through.
What now, is there some place that folks can go to get help if they think they might have a problem, or if a family member thinks they might have a problem?
Yeah, so there are several places in the community. We always, ARCA is an option. It has a detox center as well as an inpatient center. You can go to Daymark. One thing I wanted to really talk about today was something called Mobile Integrated Health, or MIH for short. Those are specialized paramedics that we have in our community that are able to help folks, assist them getting into some sort of treatment if they may need it.
Oh, okay.
And those folks will come to you. So you can call, ask for them to come visit you, and maybe you don't know. And maybe people who don't work in this field don't know what they need, right?
Right.
Do I need detox? Do I need inpatient? Do I need outpatient? Do I need intensive outpatient?
Right.
So MIH is there to kind of help folks understand what they need and then help them figure out how that fits into their life.
Okay. How are they dispatched?
You can call them directly, or you can ask for them if you call the 911 center.
Right. Speaking of that, is there a website people can go to learn more about this topic?
Yeah, of course. You can always go to our website, the Health and Human Services website with the county. You can also go to the SAMHSA website or the CDC website. So there's lots of information.
We just have a couple seconds left. Very quickly,
Yeah.
in the news, the Surgeon General says we're losing 20,000 deaths per year just to alcohol overdoses. And he wants a warning label to go on, cans, bottles of alcoholic drinks. Very quickly, is that a good idea? And if it is a good idea, will it work?
I don't know. I'm just being really honest. I don't know if it will work. I know we have people right now, right here in our community, who are dying from alcohol use, either through drunk driving, through liver disease, any of those things. So I really want us to focus on our community right here, right now, and try to prevent those deaths.
Yeah, absolutely. Annie, thanks so much for good information.
Yeah, of course.
And for all you do. I appreciate it. We'll be right back after this.
Big things going on in the world lately. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. YourLifeYourVoice.org has advice for teens who are starting to doubt themselves. You have so much to offer. YourLifeYourVoice.org can help you find it.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections. Thanks for sticking with us. We have a familiar face with us. You've seen him on the show before and around the community. He does a great job. Mark Davidson's Smith Reynolds Airport Director. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Let me just ask, maybe for people that haven't seen us talking about this before, how does Smith Reynolds Airport serve the citizens of North Carolina in general? How would you describe that?
We're part of a larger network. There are 72 public use airports in the state of North Carolina, and we're one of the 62 general aviation airports. And so we serve a role in a larger network. We cater towards business aviation, maintenance, repair, and overhaul, recreation, flight training. And so we have our niche like a lot of other airports do.
A lot of private planes there.
Yep. And what happened this last year was pretty impressive is that when the hurricane hit the Western Carolinas, we played a major part in relief efforts. We had over 100,000 pounds of relief or supplies flew out to the western airports, Western Carolina airports,
That's
such as
right.
Elk River and Ashe County and Avery and Asheville, and a lot of our local pilots own their own aircraft, flew supplies out to the Western Carolina airports.
You and I've talked before about how airports in general are considered, and I'm going to use the term that you've used before, economic engines. They drive the train, sort of. How does Smith Reynolds measure up in being an economic, in affecting that economic engine?
Yeah, we actually have, the North Carolina Department of Transportation actually does an economic impact study every 2 years, so we get to see how we measure up. We're not really supposed to compare ourselves to the other airports in the States, but we do pretty well. Of the 62 public use general aviation airports, we're number one. We have about a $889 million economic impact. We support over 3,190 jobs.
Wow.
Are supported by the airport or linked to the airport. And so we've done really well. There's 10 commercial service airports that have regular airline service, and we actually have a larger economic impact than 4 of them.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, when we drive by the airport nowadays, we see, it looks like there's still, the terminal building maybe is under construction. What's going on with that?
Yeah, the county commissioners approved a project a couple of years ago. It's being funded with airport revenue, some limited obligation bonds, and so it's a $12 million project, and we're renovating the 1941 terminal that you probably flew out of back in the day.
That's right.
So one of our largest tenants, Signature Aviation, is going to move into the space, and that'll be sort of the front door to our community. It's the one with the control tower on top.
Yeah, now speaking of control tower, I think you got some funding to renovate that or something?
Yeah, this last month we were notified that it's called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, Federal Aviation Administration, Federal Contract Tower Fund. So
By the time you get that out, you've already spent the money.
Yeah. So we got $2 million, 100% grant, And so that's one of the last pieces of the terminal building. We excluded the tower cab from the project. And so now we can use these funds in the next year to renovate, modernize the control tower.
Update everything there. What can we look forward to over the next couple of years? I mean, you and I have been talking about projects, in terms of projects or anything else, initiatives. What are you looking at?
There's a lot going on. I'm really excited about the terminal. Supposed to be done in March, so we'll get that up and running. And we also have other projects. We're waiting on some environmental permitting we have a new MRO hangar, maintenance repair and overhaul hangar. Should be about 55,000 square feet that we'll start design on. And so that's about a $15 million project, and some ramp. Another $16 million will be 100% funded by the NCDOT. We have an airfield lighting project. I know this doesn't sound exciting, but there's over 600 signs at the airport that need to be replaced on the airfield, and all the lighting. I think there's 50 miles of cable of lighting.
Y'all are going to be pretty much state-of-the-art on everything pretty
Yeah,
soon, aren't you?
we're always got a shovel in the dirt and working on stuff at the airport. So
It's
it's
great. Now, I have fond memories of Smith Reynolds. It's a great airport. Used to fly out of there as a kid, and of course, as you said, still a lot of activity in terms of private, corporate maintenance, that kind of thing. And is there a website people can look at to just keep
Yeah.
up with stuff?
Yeah, smithreynolds.org is our website.
Okay.
We also have a lot of information. We do a newsletter every 6 months, so we keep, if you just want to briefly look over some of the projects and what's going on at the airport. And so we reach out, attend neighborhood meetings, and participate on shows like this. And you'll see me at the county commissioner meeting asking for projects to be approved. So.
All right. Well, you do a great job, Mark. Thanks as always for stopping by. I know you're busy, but thanks for spending a few minutes with us. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Parents, catching kids being good is at the heart of every parenting strategy you'll find at boystown.org/parenting. We've got parenting guides, articles, videos, quick tips, and even live parent talks on Facebook with Boys Town experts. Visit boystown.org/praise to receive your 10 Ways to Praise magnet. It's a great reminder to catch them being good, and that great parenting advice is just a click away.
76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
Back now for Forsyth County Connections, and I thought we would just spend a few minutes here toward the end of the program talking about some job opportunities that might be out there and training opportunities for those jobs, certification, that kind of thing. We brought in an expert to talk about it. Chantel Williams is Director of Economic Services Division for the Forsyth County Department of Social Services. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Now, I understand your department has a lot of job openings. That's true, right?
Yes.
Now, how many vacancies are we talking about, and what kind of jobs are we talking about?
We're talking about our eligibility specialists, also known as income maintenance caseworkers.
Okay.
They provide the eligibility perspective for those that are asking for services or trying to receive some type of service.
So these are the folks that sort of is that like an intake thing where they're determining what somebody is
Correct.
eligible for?
Correct.
And so they're kind of frontline people. Now, are we talking about people that would talk to people on the phone or go visit people, or how does that work?
It can go both ways. We also can do home visits, but generally we are located at Highland Avenue, and someone would come in there and we will actually do their application.
All right, so now how many vacancies do you have about? I'm going to put you on the spot
Sure.
here.
We're about 20 vacancies, and that's across two divisions. My division is Economic Services, and then we have a Medicaid division.
Give me an example of something somebody might need to talk to one of your folks about.
It could be food and nutrition services. That's one of our
Right.
biggest. Or Medicaid. They would come in and ask about those programs to see if they can get some services
Right.
from those.
Now, let me circle back a second about the vacancies, the job openings. What's holding people back from applying for these jobs these jobs are so important?
They are.
To help people. I mean, the jobs are important. It's important to have a job, but I mean, it's important to help people too. So what's holding people back from going after them?
I'm not quite sure on what's holding them back, so that's why we're here to talk about some additional things that we can
That they
offer.
can do. All right, well, let's talk about that. Tell me what you're doing to try to get people ready to apply for this.
Sure. So we partnered with Forsyth Tech Community College, and we're offering our NC Fast certification. That is where our case management system for the state that we use for those eligibility services. We're training people at Forsyth Tech
That's
to actually
great.
operate that.
See, that's why we're on the same track here because, you were smiling at me about that. Because, I mean, look, people feel like, hey, this job might be over my head. I don't think I'm qualified. But now we're going to make sure they get qualified through this program you're talking about.
Yes.
Now, what kind of days and times are classes offered?
Okay, so we're offering classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Is there a fee for taking this? Because, I mean, they say, hey, I think I can really do this job. I want to get certified. Do I have to pay a fee to take the class?
It's $305.
All right, so then the logical next question is, hey, Chantel, I don't have $300 right now, but I'd really like to try for this training and for this job. Is there some kind of assistance available?
Absolutely. We've partnered with Goodwill Industries, and they are assisting with that financial help.
Are there any other updates you can give us on economic or Medicaid services going on that you think people might want to know about?
I'm always happy to report that Medicaid expansion happened it's been 2 years now.
Right.
But in December of 2023, and now we're up to about 22,000 people that we've helped with Medicaid expansion.
Wow.
So that they have more access to health care.
And once they're in the system, it's a lot easier for them to try to get on their feet and stay there, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Is there a website or something people can go to sort of keep up with what you're doing?
I'm sure our website, it's www.forsyth.cc. We post a lot of things there, and so they can get connected on our website.
All right, we have a few seconds left. Let me put you on the spot here.
Sure.
What's gratifying to you about the job that you do? Because I know you do it so well, and I know you do it with enthusiasm. What does it mean to you?
It's just getting people connected in our community and serving them when they're at their most vulnerable and when they have a need. And then if we can come in and help that and get them to where they think they are, where they need to be, then I'm happy to assist in any way.
Well, we just thank you for doing what you do for so many people. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
And that's going to wrap it up for us on this edition of Forsyth County Connections. Of course, a good shout out to our executive producer, Ed McNeil, to Jeff Fabrizio, who is behind the camera and also edits everything together for us to make the show possible. We appreciate that. And to our fearless leader, Chantel Robinson, the county manager, who helps us put all this together. For all of us here, Forsyth County Connections, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next time.